Hello, welcome everyone. This is our April 2022 edition of our Data Science Student Group webinar series, led by the Midwest Big Data Innovation Hub. We have today with us the DREAM group from Minnesota State University in Mankato, and we'll hear about their activities in a moment. But just as a quick introduction to this series, my name is John MacMullen. I'm the Executive Director of the Midwest Big Data Innovation Hub. We are a regional organization funded by the National Science Foundation, working within a 12-state area in the Midwest of the US. But we're part of a national network of 4 hubs that NSF founded in 2015 to really be a catalyst for bringing together different groups of people across the country who are focused on data science and data-related activities across academia, industry, government, and nonprofits, and really helping to build those collaborations and partnerships across those sectors. So as a part of this webinar series, we are bringing together different student-led organizations across the region. These are official RSOs on campuses, but also clubs and more informal organizations, and bringing together those people to share best practices, share their experiences in developing programmatic activities and different ways that you're all building local communities on your campuses, and trying to bring all these groups together to look at ways that you can improve that work and learn from each other, and really trying to build that network of student leadership across our region. So we have this webinar series, but we also have a Slack community and profiles of student groups that we put up on our website as well. So we encourage folks who are watching this recording to join in on future webinars, and also reach out to us if you would like to participate with your group in either the webinar or our profile series. So with that, I will turn this over to our presenters for today. And welcome to you all. We have 3 of the leadership from DREAM, and feel free to go ahead, introduce yourselves and take over.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for today's inviting from Midwest Big Data Hub. We are the DREAM Data Science Group from Minnesota State University, Mankato. DREAM, short for Data Resources for Eager and Analytical Minds, is a recognized student organization at Minnesota State University, Mankato. We promote and support activities and resources related to data science, data analytics, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. We are a student organization founded in fall 2016 under the leadership of Dr. Rajiv Bagarali. So far, there is hundreds of students joined in our group. They come from various majors like math, statistics, biology, finance, and computer science, etc. The purpose of our organization should be to encourage exploration and communication of topics related to data science, big data, data analytics, machine learning, privacy and security issues, and so on. So we promote and disseminate information and skills about data science and related topics, as well as help raise general public awareness about opportunities and challenges related to data science. Our DREAM group strives to, there's a little more. Our DREAM group strives to integrate both undergraduate and graduate students that are interested in data science by creating events, workshops, and partnerships for students who want to further their understanding, network, and opportunities with data science. we aim to create a community so that students can have a place to gather and create an environment to help each other for jobs, internships, classes, projects, and so on. So my teammate, Tiati, will continue the presentation and more details and interesting events we have hosted in our group. Thank you.
Hi, yes, my name is Tiati. I'm currently the sitting president of DREAM here on the Mankato campus. And like Emma had said, we really aim to reach out to anyone who really has an interest in data, computers, or data analytics. So on the left, you can see the majors that we typically started with in the beginning, the classic STEM, math, computer science type groups. But lately, we've been trying to reach out since data is so applicable to many different disciplines. We've recently, even this last year, teamed up with the sociology RSO on campus to collab on some different team building exercises and different projects to work together. So as data is applicable to many different domains, we are able to actually hit quite a few and quite a bit of diverse students here on campus. Some specific tasks we do are listed on the screen. The big ones that we've done recently, especially with COVID, is our guest speakers, our hackathons and tutorials/workshops. Our guest speakers, we really like to bring in industry leaders or previous alumni. When we bring in guest speakers, we tend to aim to have those bring in knowledge of what they do with data, what different areas you can go into, how to prep for entering the workforce, what can students do to set themselves up for success, what can students do to have their resume be brought so that they can be ahead, just different topics like that. And then we also like to bring them in from different domains. Again, like I said on that previous page, we really try to hit such a diverse group because data is in everyday life. We like to bring that so that we can have those students have options. We're not limiting ourselves to just a certain domain. And then hackathons, with COVID happening, they've actually moved virtually, which is in our favor so that we're able to still be able to participate in them. So as the leadership board, we like to create the groups, which then allow the students to participate in hackathons. And this really sets the students above and beyond. It's giving them real world experience so that they can decide what parts of data analysis, data science, computer science they like to help them further themselves long-term. And then we've also done workshops and tutorials. This in the past has been, for example, we've done one with SAS and with Microsoft. But this last semester, we did one where just the leadership board created one with Power BI. So we try to implement these, and then now that COVID has started to lessen, we will start to implement others as well. So like I had mentioned, we did have industry talks, and here are just some of the people different representatives of these companies come in to speak to us. And you can see here is our 5 that we've had speak specifically this semester. And as you can see, we have some from the business side, some from healthcare. Like I said, we're really aiming for a diverse group. We really want everyone to see the different sides of data and what they can bring. As you can see, we have how data applies, how to tell stories, how does data interact business? That's a really interesting one that's up and coming as well. And as you can see, a bunch of different companies send in representatives too. So this is great for students to get that experience and interaction with those who are in the workforce. And then, like I had mentioned, we've done a training. So specifically, this is what we did in the last semester. Our e-board put in a Power BI training specifically with Harry Potter Kaggle data. We allowed and facilitated to allow students to create dashboards, and they were allowed to choose whatever chart they were interested in. This was great for students. We had a wide variety from undergraduate to graduate students, those who had limited or like no experience whatsoever with Power BI to those who've already had it on their computer and had played around with it a bit. So we were able to apply knowledge, may it be simple to advanced, and allowed students to really get that hands-on experience and really be able to put that they have interacted with Power BI on their resume, and see, if this is something they're interested or not, and how, even if it's just applying to movie data, how, again, it can apply to different domains and how interesting it is. And next, I'll pass it off to Mistiha to talk about group events we've done in the past.
So DREAM sort of acts as a hub for passing around all information related to data science. So we aim to get students that are involved in DREAM connected with other events that are within the region, local. One, for example, is MBDH, so the Midwest Undergraduate Data Analytics Competition. Mankato has hosted it before, and DREAM has actually set up the volunteers for the event. So it requires dozens of volunteers to get the whole thing running, and DREAM was able to find those volunteers within our members. Additionally, we've had a number of teams compete and do very well within the MBDH hackathon. There is also the Data Derby hackathon, which is put on by MNIT every year, and we organize teams to participate in those events. So we'll send out a interest Google form, and then based on what information they fill out, where their skill levels are at, we go through and we assign them to teams, and then send them out to compete. So this allows students who might not know anyone else who has their particular interest to find people that are at their skill level with their same level of interest to compete in a team like this. All of these things add to a student's portfolio, and we want to make sure that students get something out of DREAM. And having students, enabling them to participate, having these awards, or just even the code and the work that they put in on their portfolio to add to their portfolio is really valuable. These are some winners throughout the years in 2018, 2019. Another event is CADSCOM, which is a conference that is usually held every fall. It's been in the spring the last year or so, but it's a conference where you can submit papers, and many members of DREAM have submitted papers there. And we will support them throughout every step of that journey of coming up with ideas, going through the paper, maybe getting different eyes on it to peer review it. Also having practice presenting it, if they wanted to present it in front of a group, get that experience before they did it officially. We want to be there for them in every step of that process. And another conference along those lines is the National Conference on Undergraduate Research. And we've had a couple of students from DREAM also participate in that. And we like to support them in their research. So the people who participate in DREAM, come to these events, are part of DREAM, continue to be part of DREAM even after they graduate. So while it's a student organization, we've been very impressed with our ability to maintain a solid alumni base. For example, these are some of the alumni from the last few years. Bryn Karen was our previous president. She graduated early because she got a excellent job at Optum, I believe, as a technology development program assistant at Optum. And there's also Thelen Wafi, who came back, I believe just last year, and he did a presentation, a tutorial on Power BI. And that was really great to see, because it was someone who was in the workforce, who had been through the same process as us, who was, I believe, an old president of DREAM, so was involved with the organization and was freshly in the industry, and still came back to give us his perspective and to like return his skills back into the organization. So we really appreciate all our alumni. Oh, and Anita Barami, who is currently a PhD candidate at Illinois Institute of Tech. She came back as a speaker in one of the panels at CADSCOM, I believe, last year. So it's really wonderful that as our membership moves along, so does the alumni base, that we're able to keep that as we grow. The current board is, well, I'm the secretary. Emma, who spoke earlier, is the treasurer. Tiati is the president. And we have our wonderful faculty advisor who's been there since the beginning, Dr. Rajiv Bukralia. So some basic contact information for us is you can find us on Twitter or through our email at mnsu.edu. And that's a brief overview of the organization overall. We can continue on into some tips and our recommendations for other data science oriented organizations. But before that, did anyone have any questions?
Perfect. Thank you very much for that overview. That's really exciting to see all the things that you guys are interested in collaborating on with other students and building that alumni base to help develop your programming. So I think I wanted to follow up with a few questions for you at this point. Maybe just starting with the size of the group. You guys are I think the largest RSO on campus. Is that right?
Yep.
So, I mean, that's pretty interesting for data science or data related a group that may not be what people would think of as the largest group. And so how do you think that dream grew to that size? What sort of led to that growth and that sort of looks like pretty broad campus interest? It's not just the STEM programs as Tiati mentioned. It's really much broader than that.
Yeah, I think as we've grown and added in new interests, that's allowed us to gain more members who are interested. First, right, it started with probably finance, and then we grabbed business. And now this last year, we've collabed with those who are interested in the sociology, in the psych stats, and how does that apply? So as we kind of spread out, more people are like realizing how it does big data, how statistics, how analysis applies to their domain. And then as we, their friends join, the news just kind of spreads. And I think it's really easy to, as we're open to other domains and we just want those who are interested in data to be a part of our group, it's easy for them to join and reach out, and we're able to collab easily because of that.
I think to our benefit, since the very beginning of Dream back in 2016, it was very student run. The effort into even creating the organization was student led. I believe it was actually in one of Dr. Bukralia's classes where he was sort of brainstorming the ideas, and the students really went with it. So having that student drive on campus to have this organization, I think really helps build the numbers on the club.
Also, I think we want everyone, at our campus, that this data science club is not just for CRS or just for IT students. Actually, because we know that there's a lot of data and it's a technical word. So we want more students to know that our group is just the service for the whole campus and for different majors and interested. So sometimes we post some information and do some advertisement on our school's newspaper and cooperate with other departments. So this make our groups much better and get more students from different majors to collaborative in our group.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking back to the comment about the Power BI training and how that you use non-technical sorts of concepts and data there, right? The Harry Potter universe data. I think that makes a lot of sense to people who are not necessarily STEM majors or really interested in data science to see that there's real world applications there. I think another area that I've seen a lot of interest from student groups outside of STEM is in the data for good or data for social good kinds of activities. And so, I'm wondering if that maybe was a catalyst for the sociology participation, seeing that there are social challenges that data can help understand and maybe address. Is that one of the possibilities there that you see?
Yeah, I do agree with what you said.
Definitely. We've been trying to run events that can reach larger audiences. I know coding, when you define data science as only statistics and coding, it can alienate a lot of people. So using something fun like Harry Potter and using a topic or something that requires not a lot of code, but is a really helpful tool for data science. I think it's a good entry point to have training events like that. Also, I believe there is a club, social sciences data club, something like that. But we've collaborated with them before. So I think it helps expand our organization to have connections to other RSOs on campus so we can expand our reach.
It was actually one of my next questions was to ask if you have done, collaborations with other groups and what those kinds of activities might have looked like.
Right. Yeah. So kind of those trainings, like similar to Power BI, in the past have collabed. We like to kind of be hands-on and meet in person when we do those collaborations so that it's easy to mingle and mix in, and it almost feels like one group is kind of what we go for. Yeah.
All right, so you guys talked about the alumni base and how you've brought people back to give talks and things like that, and that's great. That's a great way to maintain your programming. It can be difficult, I think, to recruit speakers for events and things, and so I think that's a great way to do it. But I did see on some of your past speakers that they were maybe more senior people at industry organizations and maybe not recent graduates. And so I'm wondering if you have ideas for other student groups about how to recruit speakers and get people engaged who may not have a direct connection with DREAM.
A lot of that truly comes down to having our wonderful faculty advisor who has a lot of connections within the industry and has a really big passion for DREAM. So he's always able to get people to drop by and give talks. But I believe individually to look for speakers. Yeah, it's been a lot of alumni and
yeah, using alumni's connections too is really helpful.
Right.
Once you have to set that base first, but once you have 2-3 years of those out, and then they have senior advisors or managers that they connected with, that's an easy connection as well.
I will say another one is sort of through the events that we've supported students through, like for example, CADSCOM. You see a lot of professionals come in and talk in the panels. I mentioned that one of our alumni had spoken in a panel, but there's also more senior people in the industry. So seeing people there, maybe connecting with them later on, and then talking about DREAM and seeing whether they'd be interested in coming to talk. And it's just sort of networking in that way. So similar skill.
Yeah, we also promote our DREAM group in some of our courses, like introduction of data science, data science management courses. We do lots of promotion on that, and also we do some promotions on our school paper. And another suggestion for running a group, I think we should keep a careful eye on our on the roosters. I mean, we should always back up and copy and keep everything organized like the previous students, alumni. So we collect all the information together and have a regular to review on that. And then we can make this, and we can find some more information from the organized papers or informations, and then we can ask and invite some people that previous in our school or group to come back again to do some presentation or meetings together. I think for the group, we may need to do this kind of work to keep everything organized and keep track of current informations and group students and make more.
Yeah, that seems pretty critical to have that continuity. You know, student group leadership changes pretty regularly, and there can be disconnects and things can get lost. And so if you have a good structure in place to maintain, you know, who was in the group previously, where they have moved on to, I think that can really help a group, you know, maintain that that level of continuity and be able to bring in other people. I really did like the idea as well of, you know, an alumni of the group has their first job in their new career. And so you invite them to come back and talk about their experience, but then also say, hey, can you get your boss to come back and talk to us as well? Someone who's at a higher level and may have more advice for students about career paths. So yeah, I think leveraging, you know, whatever relationships you have can be very beneficial there.
I was going to note on that point, a part of how we do that is maintaining good communication systems. We have private groups. So via our LinkedIn, our D2L, which is the university's course website, and through the university's course RSO site, those are the private means of maintaining our group. And since the D2L and the MNSU presence site is more specific to the university, we also like to make sure that we maintain our LinkedIn, because that's how we keep contact with a lot of alumni. And this is more so, these two are more so for present students, keeping updates on events and such. And then for the public, for anyone, this is more so used to promote and to answer questions from anyone who's interested in DREAM, using the Twitter or our email or the DREAM website.
I really like that idea, because one of the challenges of maintaining that spreadsheet or whatever of alumni is that information gets old when people move around, right? And so having LinkedIn, for example, as the way that you connect, people tend to keep that updated when they move. So I think that's a great idea. This is a good slide for my next sort of set of questions, which is, you know, in order to have a successful organization, you need to communicate, you know, to a broad audience about your activities, but you also need a good set of volunteers, as you said, for events like MUDAC and others. So I'm wondering if you have advice for other groups about that process of communication outside of your sort of local, you know, core group to other people on campus, and then how you get people engaged to really participate in events.
Yeah, we're really fortunate. We do have a secretary on campus who can send out emails to those in the CIS department. So every now and again, with certain events, you know, if it's applicable to all students, we'd like to send those out. So that way, maybe they're new, they transferred to campus within the last semester, you know, they're just not on they don't know about the MNSU presence account. They're at least getting information. We also have posters, you know, that we like to put around. Those are kind of our two big ways to really at least spread it across campus. And Emma's really good about posting in our LinkedIn group and on Twitter for those who might not be on campus and don't see those in-person flyers.
We also pick some key classes to sneak in and present DREAM. So if it's something like introduction to data science or database management, we'll try to get in there, because that's those are people that are already interested in the topic, and we'll talk about DREAM in those specific classes in a more targeted fashion.
Yeah, and then we are able to like allow them the resources on how to sign up to get those notifications to their phones and to their emails, how they would like to receive it, so that they're at least in contact, or they have my email and our faculty's email to reach out if they have questions about DREAM at all too.
As for getting that volunteer base, I think it really has to do with being able to communicate how it also benefits them to be involved in these kind of events, to be able to have experience either with the coding or seeing how these things are run. When you're able to communicate how that's helpful for them, how that's helpful for developing their portfolio, for their future experience, it's not too hard to get them to contribute their time or come to an event.
Yeah, I think our brand responds in a positive way to certain stimuli, especially to the reward system. So it may appear very basic and title, but offering a reward to the public in return for participating something that works. So although we may not realize it. So in our events, before our events, each events we do have a poster, and we provide some foods like pizza, like donuts, like that. So I think that kind of tricky things can make people more interested in this kind of activity and more positive to participate in this kind of events.
Yeah, free food has always been the best way to get students involved in things. But, I think that you talked about the mechanics of the communication, and that makes a lot of sense. But I think the storytelling around that is important too. And so, I don't know, Emma, if you have strategies that you use or examples from your posts or other team members as well, but how do you pitch the organization to new students who aren't familiar, and why that is a compelling activity for them beyond getting the food? Like what's the message that you're trying to send to people?
I can give a go at that. So it's a lot of the things that we've run recently are more so events, especially with COVID. We had to transfer a lot of things online. So we haven't quite required such as big of a volunteer base as we usually do when we're hosting MUDEC, for instance. But it's rather easy to get people to come onto a Zoom because it's low commitment. It's easily accessible from anywhere. So our number on Zoom calls are usually pretty good. I'm trying to think for in-person. These were some of our posters for some of the in-person. Well, the elections were over Zoom, but the event was in person. And yeah, it's sort of about making them welcoming. I know for the elections, we got a lot of people interested.
Yeah, I think too, if you start getting them when they're newer to campus, they're not as scared to come around and bring friends. So we do try to target those who are maybe in a freshman, sophomore year database class where there's, it's a very large class. That way, once they come or they can bring a couple friends, they don't feel as shy to come in the future. And I think that's how we really retain our students, is getting them in and having them they commit at a younger age, and they really get involved and really invested in the club as well. And they want to see it go far once they're in the leadership positions.
It's hard to think of like specific examples though, because Dream is such a known club throughout campus.
Right.
It was really big for a few years. All the professors know about it. It's just sort of hard to miss.
Sounds good. All right. So do you all have other advice that you'd like to share with other student leaders about your experiences in terms of challenges, or what has been the most fun for you? What would you tell others at this point?
If they have an idea, just go for it. Try new things. It might work for your campus. So always be open to new ideas, especially if someone just in the group brings it up. Don't be afraid to try new things or to bring new ideas to the table.
I think, and I'm sorry, I think another thing is to, I mean, once you want to be a board of a group, or just you want to start a group, I think you need to be more persistent on that, and stay true to the mission. We should be active and involved in the community events, and you should have the enthusiastic all the ways, just like you started the group. So you can try different methods to promote your group's spirits and purpose and resources, and through different social media, and make people know that. And I think the most important thing is just keep enthusiastic, keep positive, and don't forget why you just start.
I think the great thing about having it be so student run is that you can kind of also just go with your personal interests. For example, the Harry Potter event, that was something that I was just creating a dashboard in my free time because I was bored and it was interesting. And I remember at some point while I was doing it, I was like, this would be like, this is fun. I'm having fun doing this. And it was one of those things like, oh, this could be useful for other people. And then once I had experience with it, I could share it with other people. And it's really collaborative too in that aspect. You learn things as you're presenting it to other people. I know there were a number of questions raised. I was like, oh, I never thought about that, and like how to link the databases to Power BI. And yeah, so I really enjoy the collaborative nature of Dream. And I would say as a tip would probably be maintaining communication, especially keeping your roster intact. So having that list, it can be dangerous because it's as like new and old boards come through, sometimes you can lose information. And depending on your university, our university recently did a platform switch for our student organizations, which was really complicated because we lost temporarily the roster that used to be on our old site. And there was a lot of working with the university to find out whether it still existed, how we could get access to it again. So maintaining a roster for yourself, like within the club, I think is really essential. And then also using it wisely. So being sure to communicate, especially with alumni at some points, especially with the current students at some points, do it regularly so everyone still sort of has Dream in the back of their mind. I feel like that's essential for the success of your organization.
Yeah, and I have one last tip. I'd say partner with your student newspaper or whatever type of communications your school has set forward. Our newspaper has done many stories about Dream, and it really lets students, faculty, even alumni know what we're up to, upcoming events, accolades that our students may have won from previous projects that can really motivate students or alumni to give back. So I'd really say get involved with whatever communication hub your school is using.
That's great advice. Thank you all for that. And I really like both the idea of trying new things. Sometimes they're not going to work, but that's fine. Trying them out lets you learn new things and maybe pulls in people who wouldn't have thought of the group as a home for them. But also just having fun. School is hard enough without having to go to a group meeting that isn't fun, right? So keeping it fun is really important, and maintaining those connections with alumni so that you have a larger base to pull from, I think is really critical. All right, well, this has been amazing to talk with you guys. You're such a great group, and really an inspiration, I think, to a lot of folks in the region. And so really appreciate the time today. Those of you who are watching the recording, hope you enjoyed this today, and feel free to join us live in the future or reach out if you have a group as well that you'd like to have spotlighted here. So thanks very much for joining.